Now, let's discuss the steps you can take to work with video compression and create great looking video. We began with the premise that the camera stores video in a presentation format. How do we get the video as close as possible to the presentation quality before it's recorded? First, it helps if you can afford to do a little legwork. Scout out your location in advance. Try to visit about the same time of day as your planned shoot. Look at the lighting. Think about how you will set the camera's white balance. For example, consider setting the white balance for a colder, bluer color cast. If you select a low Kelvin temperature, the camera will push the colors toward blue. Or use white balance shift to add a blue color cast. Alternatively, you can select a higher color temperature to create a warm glow. The camera will push the colors toward amber. See how this creates a different feeling than the same video shot with a low Kelvin temperature? Test out several white balance settings at your location before determining the right white balance for your video. Next, we will look at one of the most powerful and least understood settings on your camera. It's called Picture Styles. This feature allows you to determine the saturation, contrast, sharpness, and other image quality settings. The critical point to remember is the camera will always apply a picture style to your videos. Even when the camera is set on standard, the video is recorded with specific visual parameters. Any changes you make to those parameters later may result in a loss of image quality. Let's do a little experiment to demonstrate what happens. Here we have a colorful scene with a lot of midtones, a few highlights, and some dark shadows. Essentially, this is a typical outdoor video. Let's lock the camera down on a tripod so that all our samples are framed identically. We will start with all the camera exposure and white balance controls in automatic. The only specific setting we make is to select the neutral picture style. We record a few seconds of video. Then we stop the camera and change the picture style to landscape. Again, we take a few seconds of video. Finally, we keep the current setting, but use the menu tools to increase the saturation, sharpness, and contrast. We take one last video of the subject. Now, we will look at the video inside a video editing program. Don't worry if you use a different program. Your software likely has very similar tools. When we review the three clips, we see the contrast, saturation, and sharpness are strikingly different in each video. You can change the visual properties of the neutral clip to match the clip shot with the landscape picture style, but that may be more work than you want to do. If you get the setting right in the camera, you won't need to color correct later. Now, let's look more closely at the boosted clip. See how grainy it is? We pushed the settings too far. It will be difficult, if not impossible, to fix this clip. By applying the image properties we want in the camera, we can avoid much of the post-processing work. We will be much closer to the end result when we upload the footage from the memory card. Here's what I want you to remember. If you get the picture style, the white balance, or any other exposure setting wrong, you essentially have to undo these settings once you begin to edit the video. These files already have precious little original information. If you don't get these settings right up front, you could lose image quality and waste time in editing.